Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, where I went to business school so you didn't have to, and today we are ranking the top 4 financial YouTubers on the platform. This would consist of Meet Kevin, Stephan, Andrei Jikh, and Jeremy from Financial Education. We are ranking these investors based on 4 categories, which would include their financial perspectives of the overall market, their financial opinions. We're also going to judge them based off of the criteria of their portfolio allocations, whether how safe or not safe their portfolios currently are, and then lastly, we're going to judge them on how they build their overall wealth. Now, this is my personal opinion on the matter, and because many people have different thoughts, comment down below how you would rank Stephan, Meet Kevin, Andrei Jikh, and Jeremy from Financial Education down below in the comments. I will leave a link to all of their respected YouTube channels down below because you should definitely check each of them out. And for more comparison videos like this, remember to go and smash that like button right now, subscribe if you are new, and without further ado, let's get right into today's video. First off, I want to mention that I will not rank these investors based off of their portfolio size. And I will also not rank these investors based off of their portfolio content. And what I mean by that is that these investors' portfolios are not directly comparable. For instance, Jeremy from Financial Education is just showing his public $2 million stock portfolio in the video that's on screen now. And this is a public stock portfolio that he started around 4 years ago on this particular channel. And if you want, he has documented literally everything in this portfolio. He clearly has other portfolios and retirement accounts that we don't have full access to that was not mentioned in this particular video, so clearly this is not his entire net worth or portfolio. I also want to add that these videos were not all created at the same time. So for instance, although 3 of the 4 videos were all created in November of 2021, we have one video specifically, Andrei Jikh, that was not created around the same time period. So I will not rank these investors based off of 1, their overall portfolio size, or the assets in each of their portfolios, whether they are diversified into real estate, cryptocurrencies, bonds, cash, collectibles, NFTs, certificates of deposits, high-yield savings account, cash, and much more. Also, we need to take into consideration Meet Kevin has actually liquidated his stocks, and I know that Graham also has many private equity investments that are not shown in this particular video. So even though Meet Kevin technically has a net worth or a portfolio of around $52 million, Stephan has an entire portfolio actually above $20 million. That should be at least over $21 million at the time of this recording. Andrei Jikh has much more money than $3.5 million, mainly because Bitcoin and his cryptocurrency accounts, which are very volatile, so he definitely has more than that. And then lastly, for Jeremy, like we said earlier, this is only his public portfolio that he has built over the last 4 years. This does not include any of his other portfolios or any retirement accounts that he has showed us. I also want to add that all of these finance channels are very different. Although they all talk about money, personal finance, and investing, they do highlight various different aspects of the overall financial community. For instance, Andrei Jikh has amazing informational videos about stocks, as well as fantastic cryptocurrency videos, where he deep dives into his own thoughts about the recent developments in the finance world. Stephan, on the other hand, has classic stock market updates on how investors can safely fortify a portfolio by holding assets long-term and constantly buying into the overall market, which would be a big similarity between Stephan, Andrei Jikh, and Jeremy from Financial Education. On the other hand, Jeremy mainly focuses on stocks and the best stocks to buy and sell, along with his personal analysis on various stocks and companies on how to build wealth. Lastly, Meet Kevin covers, I would say, financial news stories and recent news developments when it comes to the world of finance. So although all of these 4 fantastic YouTubers are in the same space, they technically offer and give their respected audiences different content, which is why personally subscribing to all of their channels is going to make you a better, well-rounded investor. Now, I do want to add, even if your favorite financial YouTuber does not get the top S spot, followed by the A spot, B spot, or C spot, that is okay. Always remember to comment your opinions down below. I'd love to hear them and to see if other people agree with you. This is just my personal opinion opinion by comparing Stephan, Andrei Jikh, Meet Kevin, and Jeremy from Financial Education. So with that being said, we are going to start off with our first judgment criteria, which is going to be their financial perspectives of the overall market environment. And I have a clip just from Meet Kevin here, specifically about what he believes that he can do with the overall market, so take a listen.
People are like, oh, you can't time the market. I'm like, bullshit. I can time the market. I do it all the time.
Now, technically, Kevin is right. Yes, you can time the market, but this is not a good long-term strategy. Thinking you can time the market consistently is going to lead you to eventual losses. Now, Kevin is correct that at times you most certainly can time the market, but if you think that is a good long-term strategy, it's not going to benefit you or your overall portfolio. Kevin just said that he's timing the market in this particular scenario, and if he can actually do that, then power to him. That's just not the way I personally run my portfolio. So Kevin thinking that he can time the market is not very wise based on his overall financial perspective of the overall market, because I could show a plethora of statistics, many of which the other three finance channels have shown that timing the market does not pay off in the long run, and just consistent dollar cost averaging into well-known mutual funds, index funds, or ETFs is probably going to be your best bet to create wealth. For instance, some of my favorite ETFs would be VTI, VOO, and MTUM. Those should be staples in any portfolios before you try to A, time the market, or B, trade stocks. So specifically for Meet Kevin, I would actually rank him technically last in terms of financial perspectives of the overall market. The other three actually have very similar perspectives about dollar cost averaging into the market, never taking or liquidating their portfolios, regardless about what the overall stock market is doing right now. But with that being said, that's not enough to move Kevin, Graham, Andrei, or Jeremy in any of these spots yet. So let me go on to our second criteria, which is their financial opinions. Now, for financial opinions, I personally really like Jeremy from Financial Education. I think he is spot on with his individual stock analysis. Jeremy also trades stocks, but he is very wise doing this, and he honestly has very good risk management in place while he's doing this. So honestly, for financial opinions, I personally think that Jeremy has the best financial opinions when we're talking about individual stocks. But what about our third criteria, and that is their portfolio allocation? Well, for this, I am actually most impressed with Stephan as well as Andrei Jikh, and I'll tell you why. First, Stephan is technically over-allocated in real estate, and I've been saying this for a while now. However, Stephan is actually a fantastic learner. He learns, which is fantastic. I'll give you two examples of this. He has a YouTube video with Mr. Wonderful, and Mr. Wonderful literally said what I said, that Stephan is too over-allocated in real estate. However, Stephan actually took this advice, and he's actually diversifying his portfolio by increasing his overall portfolio size and not relying as heavily on real estate as he used to. This to me not only says that Graham is very teachable, but he's listening to a phenomenal investor such as Mr. Wonderful. I also want to mention that he diversified into Bitcoin and Ethereum, which further diversifies his portfolio not just within cash, stocks, and real estate, but also cryptocurrencies. So he's not only diversified very well within the stock market, because he does buy mutual funds that track the S&P 500 and the overall stock market indexes, he's also very diversified in overall portfolio allocation into different asset classes, which is what brings me to Andrei Jikh. So Andrei Jikh is actually, to me, he is the visionary of the group easily, and I'll tell you why. He was the first one to really get into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, unlike the other three channels. Andrei Jikh pioneered this, and it has paid off extremely well for him. He has plenty of net worth stashed up into cryptocurrencies, and although cryptocurrencies are extremely risky, I think Andrei actually knows what he's doing. He understands the technology, he understands the market trends for cryptocurrencies, because it's not the same type of psychology as the stock market. Also, I want to mention that overall, Meet Kevin probably has the best psychology of overall investing into stocks, and what I mean by that is a lot of people conflate that the stock is the company and the company is the stock, which is just blatantly not true. Meet Kevin actually understands that you would probably be better off knowing mass psychology instead of going to business school. And that's coming from someone that literally went and has multiple degrees from going to business school. You are better off knowing mass and market psychology instead of analyzing balance sheets and how to operate a company. But for this particular category of portfolio allocation, I am most impressed with the adaptability of Stephan and his ability to learn, on top of Andrei Jikh's explanations and him pioneering into the cryptocurrency space. So with this, we have our first tier. I want to now place one of these investors into one of these tier allocations, and sadly, the first one is going to be Jeremy from Financial Education. He is going to go over here. Now, this does not mean that Jeremy is bad, and it also doesn't mean that the other 3 financial YouTubers are necessarily better than him. I just think that Jeremy has fantastic talent regarding analyzing specific companies and stocks, but I think he might miss out on many macroeconomic trends that the other 3 clearly identify. Surprisingly, out of these 4, I actually watch Jeremy the most because I feel like I actually learn the most from him. So it does do my heart a sad parting by putting him in C tier. But yet again, he is literally a financial genius. He worked at a gas station and he has worked himself way past being a multi-millionaire, and that is extremely respectable. But let's move on to B tier and our actual last criteria, which is how they build wealth, which is really going to be the cornerstone of this entire video. Now, if you know me, I am an aggressive long-term investor, and this means that I am pretty risk averse, but I will invest aggressively if I think the fundamentals of a company are very solid. So going over to Meet Kevin, I relate heavily with Meet Kevin because Meet Kevin is extremely aggressive, and you can even tell this from his overall portfolio. He is very indebted, specifically in margin, as well as overall debt from his real estate, which is not too bad. However, compared to Stephan and Andrei Jikh, and even Jeremy from Financial Education, the risk management on Kevin's part is just not my forte. Which is why I believe, and data has shown, that you cannot time the market over the long term. Now, you can trade stocks very effectively in the short term, especially if you know of approaching catalysts, but anything past that is not a good long-term strategy. Stephan, on the other hand, builds wealth extremely effectively and efficiently. Lastly, it brings us to Andrei Jikh. So Andrei Jikh, again, I love Andrei Jikh. He has extremely informational videos on both stocks as well as cryptocurrencies, and because of this, I understand that when Andrei talks about cryptocurrencies, he actually knows what he's talking about. He understands blockchain and the need for it for both security reasons as well as the decentralization of the majority of cryptocurrencies. He understands the underlying technology, and that means that he is a forerunner for this particular space. However, the drawback to this is he has over-diversified his portfolio too much into cryptocurrency, and he needs to do more of what Stephan is doing by diversifying into a plethora of different asset classes. Right now, Andrei Jikh has a lot of wealth stored up in cryptocurrencies, and because I am a long-term investor that does not like risk, I cannot get on board with what Andrei Jikh is doing, which brings us to here, and Andrei Jikh, you could probably guess, is going in our B tier list. So thank you for playing Andrei Jikh. I really appreciate it. I have learned so much from you. Thank you for talking about cryptocurrencies and stocks at the same time. Extremely informational videos, but now let's get down to the main business here. Who is a better finance YouTuber overall? Meet Kevin or Stephan? Now, I want to first start off talking about Meet Kevin. Meet Kevin, in my personal opinion, is going to be the #1 financial YouTuber for a long time. To me, Meet Kevin will eventually become the #1 most subscribed finance YouTuber of all time, and I think he's going to hold this title for a long period of time. And that's saying a lot because all 4 of these gentlemen are extremely intelligent, very hard workers, and they all know what they are talking about and are extremely educated in the information that they are giving their subscribers. However, with that being said, I do want to talk about Stephan. Stephan, to me, is the OG. He is the original finance YouTuber that I absolutely love. My investing style is literally identical to Stephan's. Without going into too much detail, me and Stephan's, our investment style is very similar, our portfolio is very similar, and how we think about building wealth over the long term extremely safely is literally the same. And that is why I absolutely love Stephan. Also, his videos ensure you, almost every single video, buy the dip, hold, invest long term, be safe, literally covering all of the bases in almost every single video, and you're getting phenomenal information. So who do I like better between these two? Well, technically it's not who I like better, it's who the data shows is better. So now, with that being said, we can go back to our tier list, and that is where I will now put in A and S tier. So, you probably don't know, but our next allocation is going to be, drumroll please, Stephan. So Stephan, to me, is the #1 financial YouTuber. That's right, I'm not putting him in A tier. He is an S tier investor, which means that good old Kevin is going to be in A tier. So there you have it. Those are the final rankings, with Jeremy in C, Andrei in B, Kevin in A, and of course, the OG Stephan is in S tier in my personal opinion. And mainly it's because I'm biased because we have an almost identical way of investing. However, that's not to take away from Kevin, who I still believe is going to become the #1 financial YouTuber on the entire platform. I love Andrei for his diversification and love of cryptocurrencies, on top of course, Jeremy, who is the one I actually like the most, but sadly, I had to put him in C tier. Now again, these rankings can change, but I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Comment your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, smash that like button right now, and I will see you in the next YT video.